Why do I sing in Tagalog? In this video, I'm going to talk about it. People have been asking, of course, when I'm in the Philippines singing Tagalog, the question comes up. So I thought I'd take some time in this video to talk about it. Before we start though, I got to point this out. This is interesting, I saw it earlier. This is like some sort of live feed of Lithuania. So there's like a massive crowd here. And people are waving from Lithuania. Anyways, I couldn't ignore that because I don't think I've ever seen that before. I might have seen it online. Had to point that out. Anyway, why do I sing in Tagalog? I've shot videos before. There's a video from, I think, a few months ago where I talk about it a little bit in the context of being on stage. I was actually performing. And I just sort of talked about it off the cuff. But because people are asking about it while I'm here, and because I'm in the Philippines now and it's topical, just thought I'd take the time to, as I walk through BGC here, just talk about it. It started with an epiphany that I had in Vancouver 2 years ago. I was busking at the airport in Vancouver, and I had an incredible experience where there was a Filipina lady who was watching me perform, and she was just projecting so much warmth and kindness. It just really got my attention that she was such an open-hearted person. And then when I learned that she was from the Philippines, I thought, oh, that is, you know, those are characteristics I've actually experienced numerous times in my life when interacting with Filipinos, mainly in Canada. And I never really thought too deeply about it. But for some reason in that moment, it just clicked, wow. She suggested to me, you should go to the Philippines. And I thought I should go to the Philippines. So that was sort of step number one. And step number two was coincidentally around that time. A friend of mine had posted in her stories on Instagram a video of Chris Martin and Coldplay performing here in Manila. And they invited the band Lola Amor to come on stage and perform their hit song at the time, Raining in Manila. And before they began to perform the song, Chris Martin was sitting at the keyboard and he sang just a little bit of the song. It's been raining in Manila, hindi ka ba nilalamig? Cue a massive wash of like, applause and laughter and enthusiasm for the fact that he'd taken some time to learn how to sing just a little bit in Tagalog. I think that's something he actually does when he plays around the world. He makes an effort to just sing a little bit in the local language. I guess I'd kind of heard that he had done that, and maybe other artists have done that too. But it was the intersection of that first epiphany I had with watching that where I realized, oh, maybe I should learn that specific song, starting with the chorus, and see if it's possible. Like, see, first of all, if it's a possibility for me to sing in Tagalog. So that song was my invitation to explore the potential. I had really no knowledge of how to approach it whatsoever, but I benefited from some friends of mine, specifically Christine, shout out to Christine, and my friend Tisha, shout out to Tisha as well, who helped me to, as I went through the words in the song, to begin to kind of shape my pronunciation. Obviously, even with their help, it wasn't great, but it helped me to move from being completely lost to at least having a rough sense of it. And so it was that song in particular where I learned the whole song. And what I did was I recorded it also, which I released then. I recorded a cover version and released it. And the benefit of doing it in recorded form, of course, is you can kind of just take it in sections, piece by piece. And you can really, like with the coaching that day that I received from Tisha, who also sings on that track, I was able to create at least a decent version that would probably still had a thick Canadian accent, but it kind of plotted it out. That was sort of phase one. And then when I came to the Philippines shortly thereafter, I was actually in this area. Now that I think about it, here in the high street. In fact, it might have been, now that I think about it, I'm not sure. It might have been right here. If not, it was one of these similar spots here on the high street where for the first time when busking, with the support of some busking colleagues, I sort of nervously, I kind of like practiced just the chorus of the song. I nervously dove in and gave it a shot. And it went okay, you know. People were curious. They're wondering what's going on. It's not something that happens every day. And I think that curiosity and support that I experienced from onlookers made me feel like, okay, everything's gonna be all right. Maybe I should go further with this. So on that trip, when I busked, all I was able to do really was just sing the chorus. I don't even know if I'd committed it to memory, or maybe I was having to read the phonetic words off of a phone or something. So it was very limited. Fast forward to earlier this year, in 2025, in June, I had the unique and extraordinary opportunity to open for Orange and Lemons in Canada, in Toronto. And there's something about that opportunity which, you know, I was very grateful. It was quite extraordinary to find myself in that position. I thought, I need to make sure I'm taking this moment to go further with my dream of connecting to Filipinos by singing Tagalog. So that was the first time I did a full song committed to memorization. Because I knew that when I'm on stage, you know, it's so much better to have committed a song to memory. I'm speaking of performing in English or any version of performance. So I took the time to really, really drill down and memorize it. And I don't even know how long it took. I want to say it took maybe 20 or 30 hours of just going through the song slowly, piece by piece, on a treadmill in Toronto, just breaking into sections and just, you know, really just piece by piece until I could reliably sing. Maulam ba sa inyo pag bumubuhos dito, paumanhin ang mukhang hindi ko masasabayan ang iyong yapak sa pagiging sa pagyak sa paglipad at pagbagsak ng araw-araw, etc., etc. And so on this trip, having had that experience, I thought I want to go further and do other songs. So I've learned the chorus to Multo, I've learned a portion of Palagi, and there's many, many other songs that I'm wanting to learn as well. I suppose right now I'm talking about a little bit about how, but to come back to the question of why, it really comes down to wanting to show respect. You know, I think when I saw that video of Chris Martin singing Tagalog and seeing the response, I realized that's got to be the best way you can show in an instant how much respect you have for another culture, another language, is to have put in the time to be able to do it, even if it's done in a very crude way. It's about respect. It's about showing your genuine interest and respect. And although my efforts to speak in Tagalog are limited, I know that when I say maraming salamat po or ingat po, and I, you know, do attempt to pronounce the words, you know, closer to an actual Tagalog accent rather than Canadian, rather than saying, you know, maraming salamat po, to actually try to move in the direction of pronouncing words correctly. You know, what I hope is people interpret that as a gesture of my sincere and enthusiastic interest in the culture generally, the language, but also generally the culture. So it's still absolutely early days for me, but that's why I do it. That's why I hope I'm only at the beginning of my journey with singing in Tagalog, speaking in Tagalog. And of course, another big step forward for me was recently taking one of my original songs in English and adapting it into Tagalog and changing all the words. So it's a very specific thing to translate a song. I've learned through this experience where you want to capture the meaning, but it's not a literal translation, so you kind of have to make some adjustments, and you want to phrase the words as they relate to the melody in a satisfying new way with the new interpretation of the song. So a song of mine called Waiting My Life Away, I've translated to Hini Hintai Kita, which is similarly still a song about longing and waiting for someone that you love. So in recent weeks before this trip, I really wanted to see that through. I had considered doing this a few months ago and received some support from my friend AG in particular with trying to get started with the translation. And I don't know, I really didn't think I necessarily would be able to pull it off, but you know, right away in my first week of playing shows here, I just pushed myself to dive in. I think in the same way that I chose to dive in with singing Tagalog on that first trip that I came, but this time a full song and my own original song. And so it's been a challenge, but I've been doing it every time I perform. And I have to say as well, I'm very fortunate that I have the opportunity in Vancouver. I'm just gonna grab the mic so you guys can hear me a bit better. Just hearing all the street noise. In Vancouver, when I busk at the airport, there's a lot of Filipinos there, both working at the airport and also traveling back to the Philippines. So I had the opportunity before coming to the Philippines to begin to play that song as well as some OPM covers. And I think that really helped, so that when I got here, I had at least some comfort with the ability to perform the song. So why do I do that? I guess the question is, why would I do original songs in Tagalog? I was thinking about it, and I guess technically when I'm singing that song, and if I do more like it, I guess it's not OPM because I'm not Filipino, so I guess it's not quite right to call it OPM. So I was trying to think, well, if it's not OPM, then what is it? At first I was thinking maybe it's CPM, Canadian PM. I'm like, no, that's not quite right. And then I stumbled across it in my mind. Oh, it's PPM. PPM meaning Pusong Pinoy music. I think maybe it's a genre that, I don't know if I've coined the phrase. I know that there's other artists out there who, foreigners, who have created original songs. I don't know how many there are, but they are out there. But maybe PPM is the right term, Pusong Pinoy, for foreigners like myself who really are interested in exploring their Filipino heart. What better way to explore it than to express myself through, just guys, I gotta make sure right now I cross safely right now, because even though I'm getting better at it, it still can be chaos sometimes. I'm gonna make sure I cross just fine, okay. Yeah, I think that singing an original song in Tagalog is kind of the perfect way for me to express my desire to show and reveal my Pusong Pinoy. So PPM. So I guess the through line with everything that I'm saying is that the reason I do it, why I sing in Tagalog, is because I want to connect with Filipinos, show my appreciation, show my sincerity. And with everything I've done so far, you know, I want to be clear that I really do believe I've only scratched the surface and begun this journey, this exploration. So that's why I do it. Feel free in the comments to let me know what you think. If you're curious to see me write more songs in Tagalog, if you want to hear more covers. And yeah, as I say, quite a few people were asking about this, so I thought I'd shoot this video. Maraming salamat sa suporta, as always, and I'll see you in the next video.